Welcome to this service in and from St Nicholas Buccleuch Parish Church. In our service this morning, we'll hear two readings which challenge conventional ideas of what religion should be. We'll hear Isaiah criticising the religious practices of his contemporaries, even accusing them of hypocrisy. And in the Gospel, we'll hear Jesus in a series of punchy sayings, encouraging his disciples to get on with the real work of being his followers. So let us worship God. We sing hymn number 623, Here in this place, new light is streaming. Let us pray. Loving God, Heavenly Father, Creator and Renewer of all that is, we praise you for all the gifts that you have showered upon us. We praise you for the beauty we see around us, for the infinite variety of your creation, and for the unexpected and the unsurprising, which all add richness to our daily life. We praise you for your love, which sustains and renews us. And we offer you our worship and our love, in the name of Christ our Lord. Almighty God, sometimes we're quick to criticize others, but slow to acknowledge the sin in our own lives. We have worshipped you with our lips, but have dishonoured you with our actions. We have prayed for you to end the suffering in our world, but neglected always to practice compassion and generosity towards others. Our religion has too often been a source of quarrelling rather than a testimony to your grace. Forgive our self-righteousness and give us integrity of heart, that we may shine forth the light of your salvation through Christ our Lord. Holy God, once you gave the law to show your people the way of righteousness. Then you have given us Jesus to show us how to live. Now you give us the Holy Spirit to guide us in all godliness. Help us receive your commandments as grace, to follow your Son's example, and to heed your Spirit's promptings, that your goodness may shine through us to the glory of your name. We pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Our first reading is a reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. Shout out, do not hold back, lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet day after day they seek me and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that practiced righteousness and did not forsake the ordinance of their God. They ask of me righteous judgments. They delight to draw near to God. Why do we fast? Why do you not see? Why humble yourselves? But you do not notice. Look, you serve your own interest on your fast day and oppress all your workers. Look, you fast only to quarrel and to fight and to strike with a wicked fist. Such fasting as you do today will not make your voice heard on high. Is such the fast that I choose, a day to humble oneself? Is it to bow down the head like a bulrush and to lie in sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the fast that I choose, to loosen the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the poor homeless into your home? When you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin? Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom will be like noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters never fail. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the streets to live in. Our second reading is a reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus said, You are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to the Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least into the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Thanks be to God.
We sing hymn number 685, For Everyone Born, a Place at the Table.
Amen.
In the name of the Creator, the Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. To be honest, our Gospel reading this morning is one of those which kind of scares me. It's one of those readings which makes me feel I'll never be good enough, that I'll never make the grade. And it's peppered with what feels like not so veiled hints about terrible consequences. You see, I'm not a terribly pious person. I don't believe a lot of the things that proper Christians, you know the kind of people I mean, say they believe. When you're in the Christian faith, so to speak, it's terribly easy to feel a bit inadequate. Maybe some of you know what I mean. But as I was reading this text in preparation for this service, I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before, or at least I understood something in a way that I hadn't understood it before. There, right in the last verse, Jesus says, I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Every other time I've read that, I've thought, well, my righteousness will never exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees, so I'll never enter the kingdom of heaven. But this time I read it, I realized that Jesus actually set the bar quite low. Think about all those conversations and arguments Jesus had with scribes and Pharisees. They were people who frequently thought that they were very holy, that they were proper Jews, if you like, who devoted themselves to keeping themselves pure from every possible infringement of the law. And boy, didn't they like to haul up and tell off anyone who in their eyes fell short. They may have kept the law to the nth degree, but the result too often was that it led to inhumanity. Not helping a dying man by the roadside for fear of ritual impurity. Trying to stop hungry people from eating on the Sabbath because picking corn was considered work. So, when Jesus said that our righteousness must exceed theirs, I think he was actually calling us to a righteousness that is possible. A righteousness the scribes and Pharisees sometimes themselves fails to achieve. I think we need to read this passage in the light of what we know about Jesus' own self-understanding. I'm convinced that what Jesus thought he was doing, what Jesus thought his purpose and his calling were, have been obscured by centuries of theology and perhaps even myth-making. This is maybe quite a radical and controversial thought, but I'm increasingly of the view that Jesus was not interested in founding a religion. He was passionate about changing people's lives for the better. His concern wasn't that people should have a mystical, personal relationship with him. The Gospels even tell us that really he wasn't that bothered about people's personal sins. But what he wanted was to create a movement of people who would embody his ideals of justice and equity, who would love one another, who would care for one another. And he called this movement the Kingdom of God. I think that the sins that Jesus was really bothered about were what we might call systemic sins: poverty, exclusion, oppression. Remember this: when a woman who had been accused of sleeping with someone who wasn't her husband, when she was brought to him, what did he do? He told her accusers to examine their own consciences, and then said to the woman, "Go and sin no more." But he never let up on his condemnation of systems and actions which kept people in poverty or denied them opportunity or abused power. Nonetheless, the Gospels have been interpreted, maybe even misinterpreted, to support a different view. And the Church, in its many different forms, has poured far more effort into condemning personal sins than it has to tackling systemic sins. The reason why this passage and others like it have kind of scared me for the best part of half a century is because I've been taught to hear and to read them as an indictment of my inadequacies and my own failures. And maybe you've had that experience too. When the Church shifted from being a movement for justice to being an institution, it became concerned with its own survival and its own advancement. And that inevitably meant it became concerned with power, not with holding the powerful to account, but with wielding power itself. Wielding power in the world and wielding power over its own members. And one of the most potent ways of doing that is to take power away. To take it away from people by telling them that they are inadequate, by telling them that they are sinners, that they're not good enough, that bad consequences lie ahead if they do not do better, and that great rewards lie ahead for those who conform and don't cause trouble. But look at what Jesus actually says. You are the salt of the earth. People with the ability to make a big difference, even though there may not be many of us. But if we don't use that ability, then what use are we? And then, you are the light of the world. People who can make the world see what it really is, who can expose all the corruption and oppression and injustice with the light of love and truth. And then, I have come to fulfill the law and the prophets. The purpose of the law was to make the people of God a just people, a just community. The law was misused when it was used to oppress people, to exert power over people. The prophets consistently called the people to faithful, righteous, loving living, to live in ways pleasing in the eyes of the God who is love. Jesus himself stood firmly within that purpose and that tradition. Remember, he wasn't killed for being meek and mild. He was killed because his ideals presented a very real danger to a corrupt, oppressive regime. If anyone should be scared, it should not be those who follow Jesus, who try to follow Jesus, who hold to his ideals. It should be those whose deeds are done in darkness, who abuse power, who enrich themselves and make others poor, who deny justice and profit from inequity. We heard Isaiah addressing a people who thought that they were doing all the right things, being pious, fasting, humbling themselves, being religious. But still the people felt that God was not noticing them. The prophet told them, "Is not this the fast that I choose? To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and to bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin?" What God requires of us is no secret. It is there in the law. It is there in the prophets. Jesus embodies it. What God requires is less religion and more movement. Amen. Let us pray. Almighty God, through the testimony of those who know your love, you have guided us to ask for what we need. Our Lord Jesus called his disciples to live as a city on a hill and a lamp on a stand, that all may see the glory of God. We pray for the Church, the community of disciples. Grant that we and all people who claim the name of Christ may shine as light in our dark world. We pray for those who serve the Church. Let each be led by your truth, bringing all our talents into your service. Blessed are those who honour your commandments, O Lord. We pray for our world, for our government in Holyrood and for its leaders, for our government in Westminster and for its leaders. Where there is hubris, give humility. Where there is falsehood, bring truth. Where there is empty rhetoric, bring sense and substance. May all who rule here and in all countries honour justice and compassion and serve the common good, that the people of the world may flourish. You teach us to offer food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted. We pray for everyone who is sick, remembering too the sickness which is in our own lives. For everyone who is hungry, remembering too the hungers in our own lives. For everyone who is poor, remembering too the poverties in our own lives. For everyone who is homeless, remembering too the precariousness of our own lives. For everyone who is oppressed, remembering too the troubles that we all bear. Let your Church, out of its distress, minister to those in distress, and through its own compassion and suffering, bear witness to your abiding compassion for all who suffer. To you, O God, we pray, through Christ, with Christ, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, saying together the prayer Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. before we sing our closing hymn, I want to take you through the intimations that we have. And first of all, I found when I got to church this morning a card from Margaret Campbell's family. And they write, "Thank you. This is to the congregation of St. Nicholas." So I thought I would read it to you. They write, "Thank you for helping celebrate the life of Margaret Campbell and welcoming her here to the community. We raised £690 for cancer research in her name. Many thanks." And that's signed by her sons Malcolm and Robert, and Marie, Veronica, and her grandson Jamie. I've been announcing this for a little while now, but our friends down at St Mary's in the country park are running a pet food bank on the first Tuesday of each month, and that will be this Tuesday. And they're going to be serving tea and coffee, and there'll be free pet food available, so you can go for the tea, you can go for the coffee, you go for the pet food, go for the company. Just to remind you that also on Tuesday, the elders are asked to be here for the safeguarding training evening. That's starting at 7 o'clock. We're going to be joined by some elders and maybe members too, and I think there's about 22 other people coming from other local churches to join in that evening. It is, as I've been saying, really important that all elders attend, as ensuring safeguarding is one of the important duties that's placed upon us as elders. It's a serious responsibility, and we need to be up to date with the new developments. There are always things changing, and it's also good to be reminded of things that we have known but perhaps haven't thought about in a little while. So I'm looking forward to seeing all elders here on Tuesday evening. And then again the next week we'll be meeting as a Kirk session for ordinary business, and there we've got John Calvin himself presiding over an early form of a Kirk session. There'll be rather fewer black hats and rather fewer beards, but we'll have our own Kirk session meeting 7 o'clock on Wednesday next week in the coffee shop. Looking forward to the 19th of February, when we will be welcoming the congregation of Newbattle Church to the second of our joint services, and they'll be coming here for our service on Sunday the 19th. So that will be a good day, I'm sure. And our Thursday lunches return on the 23rd of February, when Andrew Stewart will be showing a new audiovisual presentation on the S-Bank to Peebles Railway. And if you'd like to come to that, please give your name to Margaret Wood. And just to remind you, as if you needed any reminder, that tea, coffee and a biscuit will be served in the coffee shop after the service, and I hope that many of you will come through for that. We close this service singing hymn number 264, Judge Eternal, Throned in Splendour. Jesus said, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." May Christ, the true light, shine upon us, that we may walk in righteousness all our days. And the blessing of God, Creator, Christ, and Holy Spirit, rest upon you all, this day and forevermore.